This one I've got a standard nymph hook, size 14. Gotta put a bead on. On the second page of the handout that I brought, or that I gave Bill and he posted, there's a chart that might be good for you. It's got sizes as to what size bead corresponds with what size hook as a reference. It also has thread sizes on there, and it has a listing for lead. A lot of my flies that I tie for in the park, and the thing that makes it different by having a fly tied by yourself versus going to a shop and buying them, is you're able to lead your flies. I always use tungsten beads on all my flies. I feel like it's worth the extra money, and I lead everything. Especially, I tie these soft hackles. I tie them with lead and a tungsten bead, and without lead. And this is what we fish in the park.
Doesn't the park regulation?
The park regulation says that you cannot have lead on your, but it's just visible. So as long as you've got it covered, they don't know.
So what's a good alternative to lead wire?
I don't know. I buy the non-lead stuff. To me, it's the same.
Yeah.
I don't have a preference. I just, whatever I get. I do feel like it's important that you size it the right size, or your flies get too thick. And a lot of the things up inside Yellowstone Park and in the park, a lot of the flies that they have that you're using and that they want a thin profile. They're not built up. As an example, my zebra midges, I tie and I put small wire on them, you know, or extra small if they're a size 18, just enough that they has a little flash. But I mean, literally just one layer of thread, or you're not catching fish. So the real thin profile seems to, for some reason, works a lot better up there. Okay, so you go out and you take this partridge feather. You should have 2 of them in your little package. Keep the better one. If there's one that's kind of ratty looking, trim the crap fur off of it, and then just get it out. The other thing that you want to do is, if you notice on this feather, how I have those fibers pulled straight out. If when you pull a little clump of feathers off the stem, if you pull them straight out, straight off, all the tips will be aligned, and you won't have to try to align the tips. So about the gap width of the hook is how much tail I want on here. So then we need some tinsel. And this tinsel is got 2 colors on it. One side is gold, the other side is silver. You want to tie this in the back on the side of the hook facing you. You want to tie it in with the silver side facing you. So I put a light wrap on it first, and then tighten it and go back. That way I can pull the tinsel back. Once you've got the tinsel locked in, we're going to use some hare's ear dubbing. We're going to do a direct dub onto the thread Keep it thin. And just cover that thread up. Wrap right up behind the bead and stop. Then you're going to take and palmer this as you go away from you. You'll notice that this tinsel shows the gold side. And you wrap that right up to the bead. Put 2 wraps behind, and then pull it back and a couple wraps before you cut that off. Okay. And then the final step is to put wrap the soft hackle so I can get something that's again, I take the feather, pull all this fur out, pull it back from the stem. Then I take this part, pinch it right at the front, and pull as many of those fibers back as I can. As I do it, I try to make sure that the feathers are equal on each side of the see how I've done that? Now I lay that clump right over the bead, and right where that V is where I put a couple wraps of the thread around that point. If you've got a big piece of feather hanging out, you can cut it off. But as you can see, I didn't get. I grabbed that in, and as I wrapped it, it just fell back. So I don't need to trim it. So then, usually 2 or 3 wraps. That's plenty. Then go straight up. Tie that off down. Again, I pull it down, pull it into that bead, 2 wraps, pull it back, suck that material back in, and then I can break off the stem. Then I pull my fingers and pull the feathers back, and the reason why we use this orange thread is we just then put a little hot spot right behind the bead. And that forces those feathers back. Quick whip finish. Again, lock the thread in tight. It's a good place for it to break up. And that's a Hares Ear Hot Hackle.